Hello, welcome to another episode of Daily Wisdom Words podcast. I am your co-host, Rini O'Day.
Hey everyone, I am Neil Trivedi, and I'm also your co-host. We want to thank you for joining us today and give you a very warm welcome to our latest episode.
Daily Wisdom Words is an online community for writers and poets all over the world. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time as we talk to some very distinguished guests, each one specializing in topics you don't want to miss. Today, we are delighted to have a very well-known personality, author, speaker, and producer, Steve Black.
Hello,
hey,
everybody.
Welcome to our show. It's an honor to have you.
Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
You don't know how excited I am. I could tell you.
Yeah, please do.
I am so excited about this interview. You just don't even know. I didn't sleep last night because I was that excited.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, I will stop fangirling for 5 minutes and then I'll go back to it, okay?
Sure. Okay. So I guess we could start with, I know that when you were younger, you were actually part of a band, right? And you transitioned from there to being a radio producer. And I know that many people would probably want it to be the other way around. Like they probably would be behind the scenes and go to, man, I wish I was in a. So how did you get interested in being behind the scenes and being a radio producer from being in the limelight, so to speak?
I think I was born to be a producer more than anything else. And in fact, the reason I joined a band, I was looking for a band to record. I was already studying audio, and I found a band. There weren't too many choices living outside of Flint, Michigan at that point in time. But I found a band that I liked, and we kind of made a deal. I'm like, listen, I want to record you guys. I want to produce you guys. I want to take you to a real studio. I want to have some fun. And they said, okay, that's great. You're going to be our singer. So,
wow.
I was like, all right, well, if that's the trade-off. If I have to learn to sing in order to record you, I will. You know?
Oh my gosh. What a story.
Yeah. So that's kind of where that started. But from a really early age, a lot of people don't even know what this is, but I can remember being single age, probably 9, maybe 10, and wanting to be a Foley artist, which is the person that creates sound for television and for film. And by create, I mean, hey, we're going to make a movie about a dinosaur. Well, how do you record a dinosaur? There aren't any. So you have to create that sound. And so I've always been fascinated by sound.
To me, it's like, it's the old it's ASMR now. And like you do things like this, to make sound.
Right.
And
those YouTube videos and all that.
And now that's the big thing. Yeah. So you're right there. Yeah. But you know what I have to tell you, Steve? You look like Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20.
Okay.
Or he looks like you. We'll go with that.
Whatever.
Whatever. Okay. So you've recently expanded from becoming an author, and you've written memoirs and science fiction books. How and when did you become interested in writing? I mean, you've had such a career. Let's just throw writing on it.
This is where it gets a little, it has the, we could be going into some emotional territory
here. Yeah. We're gonna Steve, we're gonna hit that because you and I have something very much in common.
Yeah. So I never really thought I could write. It was just something I didn't. I don't know. I mean, I've always been part of the arts in one fashion or another. I knew I could communicate ideas and emotions, but writing, boy, that seemed alien to me. But it was the dying wish of my first wife to publish some of her diary about her struggles with cancer.
Right.
So I, for a couple of years, tried to write Sabrina's story, and it just did not work. There weren't many who I showed it to, but when I showed it to people, they were like, no, you're not capturing her. It's just not her.
Right.
And a wise friend, wise wisdom word here, said,
There you
why don't you write your own story? And when you get to her parts, use her words. And so that's how it became an autobiography. And that's, that's what that was. That was fulfilling a promise to my first wife. So that's where that first book came from.
Yeah. Wow. That's
I could hear you guys, but I couldn't see you.
Yeah, you
and
for a second.
Yeah, but I could.
How about the sci-fi? So how did you transit from there, writing your story, to now going into something that is fictional?
Right. So those two worlds couldn't be more different, right?
Right.
Okay, so this is what a strange person I am, and it'll make sense once I explain it. But I see the two as not only connected, but I see them as kind of a sequel. So the autobiography was telling my real life story, and a lot of joy and a lot of happiness, and getting remarried and finding a second soulmate. A lot of great stuff. But there's some real heavy parts in there when you when you lose someone that close to you.
Absolutely.
And in that process, I kind of got mad at science for not finding a cure for cancer. And I kind of got mad at God for allowing such unfairness to exist. And I wanted those two sides of me to fight it out. And I didn't quite know where. So I thought, if I could invent a world, which would be sci-fi, and I could set the rules. I could say, okay, science works most of the time, but it's broken here. Religion works most of the time, but it's broken here. Now fight it out. And so I created this fictional world where humanity would face extinction, and tried to find balance between, the science brain side and the spiritual heart side. And that's where the sci-fi book came from. But I've always been a fan of science fiction. Dating back to, the late 60s, Planet of the Apes, early 70s, whatever that was. So,
yeah.
Star Trek.
Yes.
I was a Star Trek girl. Holy. Hello. I'm telling you, we have so much in common. It's almost scary. Because, you've led a fascinating life. There is so much that I just want to talk to you about. And, there's been a lot of good, but a lot of bad. And, going back to your first wife, Sabrina, you lost her at 35 to cancer. And my daughter she just finished treatment for the exact same cancer your wife had.
Oh.
She's 19. And so last year, most of this world, hello, which one am I in today? Most of this year was, I don't think I've cried as much in my whole life as I did this year because of, her struggle through it. She was actually diagnosed on my birthday last year. But can you tell us a little about that period of time in your life? Here you are, this, DJ traveling the world with rock stars, and you have a wife that is very ill. And
so Sabrina was also a radio personality. She was primarily in the sports world. She did cross over to rock a little bit, which is where we met. But she was pretty well known. So she decided she wanted her story to be quite public, and she thought maybe she could help people that way. But anytime you run into whatever your hurdle is in life, it shapes your life. You can't really help it. When I met her, she had a very troubled relationship with God. She used to refer to herself as a recovering Catholic.
That's what I am. And I went to Catholic school as a young girl.
And I think I helped her in many ways heal her spiritual side, so she could be, ready when the end came. And she's helped me learn things. It still does that. That's what you hope for in a relationship anyway, right? Is to inspire and learn from each other. So it was good. I'll tell you, and all of this, by the way, is recounted in my first book, which is called From Black to Light.
Sure.
So,
Yep.
One of the great stories in there, and again, difficult but great, was she really hadn't traveled much, and I had. And she wanted to see some places and do some things. So we agreed we'd get married in Hawaii. And she had a couple of close friends that lived in San Francisco. So we said, well, we'll fly to San Francisco. We'll stay the night. We were both big sports fans. We'll get some tickets to the Sharks. We'll go to a hockey game, and then we'll fly to Hawaii and get married. So on the flight to San Francisco, she got quite sick and was telling me, look, I'm having trouble breathing. And I said, well, listen, here's the scenario. We're in the air. It's either bad enough that you want me to tell somebody and we land this plane, or it's not bad enough and we just fight through it. So, you have to choose. And I'm going to be okay. We're going to make it through. So we landed and spent the night at our friend's house. And she woke up the next morning. She was even worse. So we went to a hospital in San Francisco where they told us, you have a tumor that is right next to your heart.
Oh my
And
God.
the pressure from the airplane made the tumor expand to where the blood was getting into her head, but not returning. So she was swelling, she was having trouble breathing. And they literally told us, we need to contact your home doctor and start treatment today. You have, a very serious life-threatening cancer.
Hodgkin's lymphoma.
And she said, no, I'm getting married in 2 days. Fix me so I can go get married. And so they gave her, shot of some steroids and some things. And she made promises that she would seek treatment the second she got home. We were going to Hawaii for almost 2 weeks. And so that was it. She was literally diagnosed on our way to get married.
My daughter, they in San Francisco. My daughter ended up in the hospital in San Francisco where she had a mass of Hodgkin's lymphoma, and they went to get the what do you call it when they put the needle in you and they bring out the cells?
Oh, stem cell.
No, to see if they're cancer or not.
Oh, just the biopsy.
The biopsy.
Yeah.
And they hit her lung. And so her lung collapsed.
Right.
And then she ended up being in the hospital in San Francisco for a month. So my husband and my two boys and I were like taking turns racing down there because with COVID, it was like only one person at a time. And so we were racing down there. But anyway, God, your story is just like killing me here. But I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. It's just my, Anyway.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's a lot to take in. And I think this can segue a little bit. I know you've said in an interview before that mental health is not always a choice, right? I remember reading one of your and this being sort of a podcast where we try to focus. Can you expand on that philosophy? And did that experience kind of bring that about? Because I'm sure that must have brought on things like depression and all kinds of mental health issues. So how did you arrive at that philosophy and talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Sabrina lived for 6 years after her diagnosis. And some of that was fine, but a lot of it was really touch and go, and it was in and out of hospitals, back and forth. So I kind of, without even knowing it, had switched to emergency mode. And I had operated as if every day was life or death for 6 years. And after she was gone, I started to, I guess show signs of depression. I didn't know it at the time. It took me interacting and meeting other people when they would say things like, isn't it a beautiful day today? And I realized I hadn't even opened the curtains in 4 days. I had no idea what it was like outside. Things like that. There was an episode where I was going to the post office and I saw a little girl on our street on a bike almost get hit by a car. And instead of usual panic that I would have and try to protect and make sure everybody was okay, I literally walked past and thought, well, she's going to die someday anyway. Like that was who I had kind of become without realizing it.
Right.
So eventually I did get to a doctor. I realized, I was dealing with depression and sought treatment for it. And I still, to this day, have some pretty good battles with it here and there, but now I understand what it is. In the past, I was absolutely convinced that if you want to be happy, choose it, right? We all have a choice. You wake up every day, choose to be happy. And I still understand that philosophy, and I still understand people who say that. But there does need to be a caveat. If you're sick, you don't have that choice. And mental illness is a disease like any other.
Right.
And sometimes you just don't have a choice.
It is a disease.
Now, you do have a choice to get treated, though.
Yeah.
To seek treatment. You do have that choice.
Yeah. Right.
But you can't just, flip a magic switch and be happy.
Yeah. Just watch a comedy or turn on a sitcom and
no.
Because people who are not informed on that, that's usually, these are the kind of things I've heard that clinical depression, my family, oh, well, why can't you just, turn on a comedy or something, or, just don't think about that, or just, play an upbeat song, and, it's never that easy. So
I'm clearly not a doctor, but I can tell you the definition that helps me a great deal when I do have to explain to a relative or a friend or something like, oh, really, depression? You never seem that sad to me. I describe it as when what I know to be real and what I feel are not in sync. Like, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I'm loved, but there are times when I don't feel it. Couldn't feel it. If you squeezed the life out of me, I couldn't feel it. But I know it's true. And it can be, that's just one example, but it could be anything else. I could feel like I've let somebody down horribly, and it just would destroy my day. And I know that I didn't. They told me that I didn't let them down. But reality and what you feel are two different things. And that's how I experience depression.
Yeah, it's funny. I've never heard a more apt description from somebody who's not in the medical profession or not. Yeah, mental health profession. That's like so apt. It's like light bulb moment for me when you were talking. So
I know. Wow. Get out of my head, Steve, because I swear to God, it was exactly.
That was like.
I mean, I'm going to just start saying that to people. It's like not a choice.
It helps them understand. It does.
It really does. Right. Because I cried so much. I thought I gave my daughter the cancer, which is not, true. And it's not a, normal way to think. But I was so depressed and, and I just thought, well, I gave it to her,
Yeah.
But it wasn't, I didn't, and knock on wood. Yes, this is wood. She fought it. So,
one of Sabrina's favorite sayings, and you can share it with her if you wish.
Okay.
She would tell people when she met him, because it was clear and obvious that she was, getting thinner and thinner and losing her hair and everything else. If the subject came up, she would say, yes, I have cancer. But cancer doesn't have me.
Oh my God. Where's that pen? I've been asking for a pen for the longest time. I'm going to write that down. So
that's amazing.
I mean, phenomenal. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm telling you that we have so much to talk about, but I'm going to go to, you have been involved in rock and roll for so many years now. What are some of the changes you've noticed in the industry?
In the music industry or in the radio side?
Both. Where because you've been there on both sides, right? Correct?
Yeah. Clearly, the biggest change, and I suppose it's all technology driven anyway, but the biggest change on the music side is artists, for most of my life, made their money by selling records. And then would tour to support, to, play shows for $8, $10, whatever, just to get people there to like them, because if they like them, they would buy their records. So that was the source of revenue. Now it's completely flipped. Now you make records almost as an excuse to tour, because the money has to come from the road. In the streaming world, artists don't really get paid. And the ones that do get paid already have more money than they ever needed. So
Yeah.
So and
it's
merchandising.
really flipped on its head.
merchandising, right?
Oh yeah,
Merchandising
merchandising.
is, wasn't it
Enormous.
Van Halen that started that? Van Halen, I think was it Van Halen, and one of the guys walked out and saw the vendors just selling their shirts that they had made, and they were making money. And uh David Lee Roth, I think it was. No, who was before David Lee Roth?
No,
Well,
David was
anyway,
first. Yeah.
but David Lee Roth went out there and said, dudes, I'm taking some of this. And he went back to the band and they're like, you're crazy. But anyway, that's a story I remember. It's probably wrong.
I don't, I'm sure merchandise was around long before Van Halen. I'm sure,
Well, yeah, probably.
Rolling Stones were probably selling it when they were children.
Yeah.
But making it such an integral part of a tour, yeah, maybe it would have been about that era when everything started to become merchandised.
What was your first concert?
So 1982, it was a very tiny festival. Triumph. Are you guys familiar with Triumph?
Yeah, Triumph. Yeah.
One of my all-time favorite bands. Luckily, they were my first. Loverboy and Foreigner. So those three bands.
God.
1982. So for Foreigner, it was their Foreigner 4 tour. They had the giant jukeboxes up on stage. Yeah, so that was the very first one. And and where was that at? Toledo, Ohio.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Yeah, mine was Fleetwood Mac. That was the first. I know, right? But to this day, my favorite song is "I Want to Know What Love Is" by Foreigner.
Oh, right.
I will play that and just chill out. So, but Journey is my all-time favorite rock band. Who's yours?
All-time favorite is Impossible.
I don't know them.
I usually, I usually stick with Alice Cooper. If I absolutely have to pick one, I usually
Alice
start
is cool.
there.
Alice is cool. Yeah, he's cool. He's a cool guy.
Yeah. So speaking of musicians and all that, you've obviously must have had a ton of stories throughout your career of, strange, some good, some bad. Can you share a story or maybe two stories where, your experience with a band or a musician kind of stands out to you? I'm sure there are many, but just
you partied with Slash, dude.
Yeah.
You partied with Slash. Come on, there's got to be something there.
So,
give us a nugget.
Yeah, there's a bunch. I think sort of the unexpected real life moments are the ones that stand out, not the craziest times. I told the story the other day, so it's kind of fresh in my brain. Not sure if either one of you are Judas Priest fans at all, but I kind of grew up a pretty big Judas Priest fan. And, I've met them all many times. I've seen them many times. But one tour in particular, I was there to interview both the guitarists, which were KK and Glenn at the time. And after the interview, Rob Halford, the singer, was like, yeah, you can stick around. So, but everybody else left. So it was just me and Rob in his dressing room. And he was like, I don't want to do the British accent because I'll sound like a crazy man. He was like, you ever realize how heavy my stage clothes are? And I'm like, no. Hey, here, try on this leather jacket. It's 30 pounds. And so then he starts bringing me over coats and stuff, all the stuff that he wears on stage. And I'm thinking, if the 12-year-old me know that I'm backstage wearing the clothes that are going to be worn on stage in an hour, I'm just like, there's no witness. There's nobody around. I'm like,
I'd have been walking out that door. Bye-bye.
So little things like that mean more to me than really crazy stuff. It's just like, I can't believe this is happening. I worked with Ted Nugent for a while, so I have a million Ted Nugent stories, but he was invited to play at a Joe Satriani concert, and he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it or not, but he gave me his, priceless $30,000 handcrafted guitar, and here, take it to the show in case I can make it. And so, of course, it was locked up in Joe Satriani's dressing room because, it's super valuable guitar. It's on the cover of several of Ted Nugent's albums. Anyway, long story short, he didn't make the show. So after the show, I had to go back and get his guitar. And once Joe realized that guitar was in his dressing room, he was like, can I play it? Well, sure. So, and if you're not a guitarist, you may not understand, but Ted's guitar is incredibly different than what most rock guitar players play. So just playing it, you're going to play totally different than you would at any other time. And Joe played it for 20 minutes, and it was just me and him in his dressing room. And I got to see Joe Satriani play stuff that he will never play again, ever, because he was holding this
That
guitar.
gave me chills. That
This
gave me
historic
chills.
guitar, yeah. And I'm just, again, looking around like there are no witnesses. Like, I'm soaking this in. I'm going to remember it. But like, it's just me and Joe and Ted's guitar. You know, strange moment.
Yeah. Well, I think talent like that you are literally born with, because I took my son to guitar lessons for 8 years because he wanted to be a rock star. And he is a chef. So he just, you know.
At least it's another art form.
It is. And it really helps the brain. So yeah, he loves it. But yeah.
Right.
You know, mom is not a rock star mom. That's good. I'm here. I don't need to be a rock star mom. So what advice would you give like kids coming into the business now? Either radio or you know, music. Because now everything's on YouTube.
Yeah, I think the best advice is one I'm living by right now as an author. I'm doing it because I feel like it needs to be done. I'm doing it because I want to read these stories, and I'm doing it most importantly because I love it.
And that's the best thing for your mental health.
If I never make a dime, I still did it. And so whatever you're going to do, you're going to be a chef, you're going to be whatever, do it because you love it.
Find your passion and you'll never work a day in your life.
If you happen to make money, great, whatever. If you don't, it doesn't matter. You still made the thing. You still did what you wanted to do. You followed your passion. And nobody gets to take that away from you.
Yeah.
How did you become a DJ?
So again, we go back in time a bit. I studied to be an audio engineer, and I was working just a little bit. I'd just gotten my foot in the door at a couple of recording studios. So it was on the recording and production side of things. And a radio station in Flint needed some commercials made, which is a form of production. And I did a few of those. And
well, you have an incredible voice.
For me to meet the right person to get a job in radio, and that was going to be it. You're going to be the guy who makes commercials. And then there was a massive snowstorm in Flint, Michigan, and nobody else could make it into the radio station, but I was there. They were like, "Can you go on the air?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Of course I can."
Oh my God, that is the universe putting you where you needed to be.
Yeah,
you know, that is the universe saying, "I got you."
One of my friends, who's actually the guitarist for the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, his name is Al Petrelli.
I love them.
Al, I love all those guys so much. We have such a great friendship with so many of them. But Al defines luck as when preparation and opportunity meet. We all have opportunities, but we're quite often not prepared for them. So they disappear. And some of us are prepared all our lives, and that opportunity never comes. It's just a chance. But when you are prepared and the opportunity comes, that's when the magic happens. And when they said, "Can you go on the radio?" Hey, I'd been pretending I was a DJ since I was 3 years old in my bedroom. I was prepared. They didn't know that.
Did you have the brush? Yeah. Did you have the brush or the spoon? And you were talking to it?
No, because I actually had a little cassette recorder, so I had a little mini microphone. It was a real microphone.
Yeah.
I wanted a recorder so bad.
My family tells stories. I don't actually remember it, but they tell stories of me making them mixtapes at like 4 years old and talking between the songs.
Wow. No, at 4?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I still believe that the universe put you where you were needed, because like you have the voice of, you know, I imagine
It's a good voice.
Yeah, I imagine you doing like at the Oscars, you know, and the guy's backstage and he's introducing people. like Danny Bonaducci used to do, and then you
I'm
got
available
fired.
to do that.
Well, okay, let's
Just let me know.
get on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
our producer joined us Monday. I think you talked to him. Abu, are you there?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, get on
Well,
getting him on
yeah.
the Oscars. This kid can
Yeah,
do
that's
anything.
what-
I'm telling you, I love him.
he can do
Love
anything.
him. He really can.
Yeah. Yeah. So being, I would imagine, being in the industry for so many years, and this being a mental health-based podcast, do you have any go-to songs when you're feeling down or feeling bad?
This
Or
is my
what would you
favorite
recommend?
question.
Like 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. What's on your playlist when you're down and out? And would you recommend that for other people who are just going through issues?
So I'm gonna weave this into a little bit of a tale because
Please
I
do.
think you will appreciate it.
Please.
Please
So-
do.
I mentioned the first band I ever saw was Triumph.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
A few years later, a local DJ in Flint had married into my family, and I met him at a family reunion.
This
And
is amazing.
He says, "Hey, I hear you're a Triumph fan." Yeah, I'm a Triumph fan. I'm going to take you backstage to meet the band. So the first rock star I ever met, Rick Emmett, my hero, right?
Yeah.
First autograph I ever get, Rick Emmett.
Oh my God.
First piece of
Wow.
advice, he didn't even know he was giving me advice. I used it so many times in my life, I can't tell you. When I was getting his autograph, I was 17 and my hand was shaking.
Right.
And he, being the classy Canadian guy that he is, I was
Love
wearing
Canadians.
I was wearing a hockey jersey, and he says, "Oh, do you skate?" I said, "Yeah, a little bit." And he goes, "Well, always remember this. I can play guitar better than you, but you can skate better than me."
Mm-hmm.
And it leveled things. And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh, you're just a person." And he signed my stuff. So, years later, when I'm interviewing my childhood heroes, Kiss, and I'm staring them in the eyes, I'm thinking, I bet I can outskate you. Like, it brought them down to earth,
Wow.
Yes, you're
Oh my
amazing at
God.
this, and this, but there's something I can do that you can't.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
made it a little evener. And he had no
Yeah.
idea he was changing my life with that advice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
so let's move forward a little bit more. One of my favorite
Mhm.
songs was called "Fight the Good Fight."
Mm-hmm.
Always loved it as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
9/11 happens.
Mm.
And when I'm finally able to get on the air, about 3 hours later than I normally would because of the news coverage,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I wanted people to hear something familiar because the world had just changed. My voice was familiar. My love for this band was familiar. I'm going to play
Mhm.
"Fight the Good
Yeah.
Fight," which,
That's
is
amazing.
an uplifting song.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Move forward in
Right.
time a little bit more. I read an article I never knew. I thought "Fight the Good Fight" was more about just never giving up, but I
Mhm.
didn't have context. I read an article that Rick Emmett wrote that song for his aunt who was fighting cancer.
Wow.
Steve.
It's about
Steve.
don't give
Steve.
up because I'm counting on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fight the good fight every moment, every minute, every day.
Mm.
And I didn't know it. I never placed that together. And I've
Right.
met Rick several times. We email back and forth now. Like I have this
Mhm.
relationship with him. But when Sabrina died, that's what we put on her prayer cards, the lyrics, "We'll fight the good
Oh.
fight."
Wow.
And that song will lift me up no matter what. I mean, it may not last forever. It might get me out of the the most massive hole ever.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
yeah, you want to lift your spirits.
Fight the
That's
good
a
fight.
good starting
Right. Fight the good
starting
fight.
point right there.
Well,
Wow.
I'm so weird that I listen to "Don't Fear the Reaper" by Blue House because it's like, hey, we're here for a limited time. I'm just gonna enjoy this like heck. And then when I get out of here, I probably go to an amazing place. You never know.
I love that song for many reasons. And actually, one of my favorite science fiction authors wrote a series of books called The Incarnations of Immortality, Piers Anthony.
Mhm.
And what's interesting about that book is the main character accidentally kills the Grim Reaper. And the penalty for that is you have to become the Grim Reaper.
Oh.
Now you have to go out and take people's souls as they're dying. And in reading this book, you realize the value of death. Some people are in horrifying pain. They're in a house fire and they're burning and they're in horrible pain. And you're the relief. You're the one taking them to the next world, opening the door to the next place. And I've always seen death as this very frightening thing. And then that book, and of course the song, which predates that book, are both about you don't have to fear death. You know, it's literally as natural as life.
Exactly.
Yeah. When I followed the Catholic religion as a young girl, I was scared to death to die, scared to death. And then I found that song, and I'm like, you know, and I left the Catholic Church because, like, it's crazy, but you know, I got more like, you know, I believe the universe will take care of us whenever that is, you know, so I don't fear the Reaper anymore. Okay, but hey, I'm not ready to go anywhere. Okay, so you know, back off. I'm talking to him. Don't take me. I still have things to do, buddy. We're going to Greece.
Yeah.
Your wife and you, your kids, Neil, Abu, and me.
Yeah, all of us.
My husband, my family. Yeah, no, but yeah. Oh my God, the things we could talk about. Ugh.
Yeah.
So cool. You are such a cool guy.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So much, we covered so much, and some excellent times, some not so good times. Where are you right now, you know, as far as physically and psychologically? Are you content? Are you in a good place for the most part? I mean, we all have times when, you know, bad times which will come and go, but for the most part, how are you feeling?
Really good. I feel like everything that I've gone through, different phases, even being a teenager and studying music, and, you know, 30 years on the radio, and marriage 1 and marriage 2 and stepkids, and I've tried so many different art forms along the way, and have loved them all. You know, I've taken some wonderful photographs. I've written songs.
You have?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But finishing this first science fiction book makes me feel like I understand now what I went through. Like, I did that because I belong here. And I would have never guessed I would be a writer. And I don't know. I mean, the book turned out so much better than I thought. And my first fear was that it's really conceptually incredibly deep. And I thought, you know, nobody's going to make it through this. They're not going to understand it. But the feedback's been really great. And I was surprised at that. I thought if I really went deep, people wouldn't get into it. But they have been. So
absolutely.
You know, my goal was to retire. I'd like to retire before 60 and write books. And then at some point I realized, well, I don't have to wait. I can start writing now. So here I am with 2 books out, and I'll probably have a third one out. I don't know, if the world works in my favor in the next 2 or 3 years. And just keep doing
we'll have
it.
you back on.
Yeah.
We'll have
Just
you
as
back on
we're having excuse me.
Right?
We're having this guy totally back on way before that. We're gonna book him after the show. So what's your first book called? And your second book called?
Oh, okay. So the first book is From Black to Light, my last name being Black.
Oh yeah.
And from going from a
Love
very
it.
dark place to you know, a more cheerful place. And then the brand new book is called The Last Child. And the fictional world that I created follows the life of the last child ever born. And,
wow.
Yeah. So
wow.
The cover.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
That's cool.
Oh, I love that.
The back cover.
You're gonna have to join Daily Wisdom Words so we can get these books out there to our peeps. You know.
Yes, sure. Tell me what you need. Actually, first week of October, it's the new book will be available on Amazon. I've been selling it direct for the first couple of months, just because Amazon has a lot of rules.
That's where we got it. Yeah.
That Black to Light. Yeah. I'm going to need you to sign a couple copies of your science fiction, because I've got science fiction fans that you wouldn't believe. And
Yeah,
why
we
I
actually-
love to read.
I'm really happy that we decided to actually offer. By the way, right now they're available at chopshopradio.com. If you go there, you'll see the books. But
Okay.
one of the options, I originally thought, I don't know, it might be a little hokey, but I said, let's offer a personalized copy for an extra
Yep.
$4 or whatever.
Okay.
And I couldn't believe how many people wanted the personalized copy. So
Where's
fantastic.
that pen? I need that pen again. Chopshop.com.
Yeah.
Radio.
Chopshop.com.
Chop Shop Radio.
Radio. Okay.
.com.
That's why I need a pen.
And soon on Amazon.
Yeah.
That is so
linking those in the description of this interview. So
yeah. We'll put everything.
We'll put out the link for all of
there.
our viewers. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll
And I get
absolutely.
I get pretty deep into not just philosophies, but even like for this book, The Last Child, I interviewed economic experts, as well as spiritual experts, as well as doctors. I interviewed a specialist in cloning. Like all of it, because if nobody can be born, then what's the goal in life? Is to live as long as possible. Well, how do you do that? If babies can't be born naturally, can you create clones? At what point, if you evolve to a point of everlasting life, maybe by creating synthetic cells, artificial cells, artificial intelligence, whole brain emulation, at what point are you no longer human? At what point does it no longer matter? If your existence is at stake, do you need to be human? Like, those are the questions we tackle.
Wow.
So it's a really fascinating journey. Right from the beginning, when you think about it, almost everything in our lives is centered right now around how much do we have and will it last? And the second there's no more children coming, suddenly the world has an overwhelming supply of everything. There's no longer a need because there's a surplus. Everything's in surplus.
Yeah.
Well,
that's why you said in an interview that I remember you said when someone asked you like for 5 philosophies that you live by, and one that stood out to me was you said appreciate what you have when you have it, right? Something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I tell you, that C word, and you want to fight the cancer for them. It really just makes you appreciate, absolutely, like what you have. And then, unfortunately, you lost your first wife, but you were able to find love again. And that's what people need to know, is that,
do you know
we do move on.
I would say was probably the greatest gift that she gave me.
What was that?
First of all, she didn't think she was going to die. She was a fighter. But when we got to sort of the last 6 months or so, and she realized she wasn't going to survive, whenever we went somewhere, whenever we encountered somebody, she made sure to introduce herself as my first wife, so they would get used to the idea that I would have another.
Oh my God, where is the flipping tissue? Somebody bring me a tissue.
Like who does that? But what an incredible gift, because I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was okay to move on. She made that incredibly clear.
I would have loved to have met her. What an incredible person.
And then the other piece I want to mention, just because I think it was really a cool revelation. I didn't understand at the time. I mean, we all want to sort of live beyond our life cycle. But I didn't understand why she wanted her journal published. I didn't understand why she wanted a book.
Right.
I wrote it anyway, but I thought I understood it, but I didn't understand it. Then my publisher reached out shortly after that book came out, and I'll just use made up names, George and Helen or whatever. But he said, hey, there's a couple in Traverse City, George and Helen, and they're older couple, but they read your book, and it's the opposite for them. It's the husband that has the cancer and the wife that's going to survive, and he's not going to make it, and they know it. And they were so moved by Sabrina's words that their nicknames for each other are Sabrina and Steve.
Steve, you're killing me here. You're killing me.
Through her words, she gave them permission to communicate to each other, to accept what was going on, to prepare for it, to love without measure. And then I understood, well, that's why she wanted the book published. Like, I didn't get it until I heard it from an outside source. And I went,
right.
That is a
okay.
beautiful story.
I went, okay,
Wow.
now I understand.
Wow.
Yeah.
That just gave me like,
Yeah,
you don't
me
even
too.
know. Yeah. Yeah. I tell everybody I'm my husband's first wife, but he's going with me. So there will be no second. Yeah. I mean, we've been married 30 years. That's like, whatever. So you're still rocking and rolling on the radio, right?
I do. Yeah, I still do weekends at WRIF, which is, one of the great legendary
Is it
heritage radio
satellite?
stations. No, well, everything is global these days.
Yeah.
App on your phone, WRIF app.
Yeah.
You can listen anywhere.
Oh, we can do that?
Absolutely. Yeah, just go to your
Okay.
app store, whether it's iTunes or Google Play, type in WRIF,
Okay.
and we have our own app, and you can listen anywhere you want.
WRIF.
Wow.
No, write that down.
Hey, I saw you got that
Write that
pen.
I did. I found one.
Beautiful.
I just need tissue. Someone bring me a tissue.
Yeah.
Well,
And I still do syndicated work. I do a lot of things. I'm still involved with a charity. So yeah, I'm still do as much as I can.
Well,
like I said, you have lived an incredible life. I mean, songwriter, producer, author, jock, shock, rock, rock, dark, shock. Shock. Another fascinating thing in your autobiography is you didn't use substances while you were traveling with all those bands, and I'm sure they all did, right?
I've been in situations where I could have partaken if I wanted to. It never meant anything to me. Like, what meant something to me was experiencing the moment and remembering it.
Right.
And
right.
I think where that really hit home with me was, again, at probably 17, 18, maybe 19, but the first handful of concerts I went to, my friends would go and get drunk or get high. And, we lived the same moment, but afterwards they didn't remember it. They didn't even remember what songs were played. And I not only remember what songs were played, I remember how they introduced the songs. I remember where they were at on stage when they were doing certain things. And like, I was experiencing the moment. And they were, I guess, enjoying the moment, but they didn't remember it. And I just, right from there, I say, I don't want to be that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And it's funny, I didn't actually start drinking. This is hilarious, actually, until I think I turned 50 before I ever really had a drink.
Wow.
And so I've discovered that I like rum.
Oh my God! You and my husband would get along so well.
But even with that, I mean, I don't drink to excess.
Talk about a rock fan. My husband, man, you guys could talk for hours. Because he has a photographic memory, so he can remember, so much about, rock and roll. And this morning, I put on my AirPods, and I just went to one of my playlists and I hit it. And the first 4 songs were, one was rock, the next one was pop, the next one was Don't Fear the Reaper, hard rock. And then the next one was another genre. So it's like, it's so cool. Music is just life. It really is. There's a lot,
I call it the language of the soul. Words are the language of the mind.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Can I write a
poem
called that? Can I write a poem called that?
Sure.
Because I didn't start writing poetry until, like the beginning of last year, because I needed an outlet for my, soul. So I put my soul into my.
When I was talking about movies, a long time ago, when I was talking about being a Foley artist, but most people don't have access to this. But if you ever saw a movie clip, a dramatic moment where they've removed the music, there's no magic to it at all.
No.
You're looking at it, and
Right.
it's the same actor, actress, it's the same situation, it's the same lighting, and it's
Very
brilliant,
true.
except you don't feel it. The second they put
Yeah.
the music in, now you not only see it, you feel it.
Yeah.
The music tells the story to your soul.
Yeah. And no better way to describe that than science fiction movies. You
Yeah.
know, like that is the best sound. Those are the best sound effects in the world, are the ones they put in science fiction movies. You know, do you have? I'm sure you have Netflix. I've been watching this
Yeah.
series, and I don't like horror, but I've been watching this series called Midnight Mass.
Okay.
Okay, and the music in there is like, okay, I do this. You know, I like hide my eyes, and then you get that little peek because like I am so
Yeah.
scared to see what is happening. You know, but if you get a chance, check it out. I just thought it was a good, horror kind of thing. You
Cool.
know, because I never watch horror movies. When I saw what was the one where she was spinning The Exorcist? I had to sleep with my mother for 2 weeks. So she said, you're not allowed to watch horror films. So it's taken me a few years to finally get it,
Yeah.
Like I did see it, Stephen King. I did see it, but
Yeah.
not a fan. Yeah. But
I prefer space travel and time, time travel or time dilation or,
well,
anything.
I love the universe. So anything about the universe is just fascinating.
Yeah.
That's my jam, is the universe.
And
know?
especially when they try to respect science. Obviously, in science fiction, you can't always respect it. In
Sure.
Star Trek, they beam people from place to place.
Yeah.
But at least
wouldn't that
it's
be awesome?
scientifically sound in what they're trying to do. There may not be any way to do it, but they take the time to explain to you the science behind how it could work. So it makes it, I forgot the exact wording I used, but sometimes it doesn't have to be believable. It just has to be not completely unbelievable.
Well, look at the world. What's his name? Oh God, the director of Titanic, James Cameron.
Yeah, sure.
What was that world that he invented? Do you guys remember that?
Avatar?
Yeah, Avatar.
Avatar.
Yeah.
That was amazing what he did there. That was I love that movie. Love it.
Well, it's just beautiful. Every single frame of that movie, the cinematography of it and the artwork could be a poster.
Okay, so let's take your books and make them movies.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the next step, right?
Cool.
I know, right? I know, right?
Yeah.
I got 20 bucks.
Any sneak peek on what the third book will be about, or the subject, or anything?
Yes. So when I put this book, made it available, there were a couple of publishing companies that reached out to me. Very small, but that's fine. That's like I said, I do it for me, not for anybody else. If it blows up, great, but that's not the goal. But both of the publishers that I talked to, when I said, well, I have other ideas for books, they were like, oh no, you the way this one ends, there's got to be a second. Like, you can't just end it like that. There has to be a second book. And I was like, well, can I write something else first? And they were like, nope, it's got to be a sequel. So I thought about that for a couple of weeks and then just started writing. And I'm already probably 20% done with the next book, which is the sequel to this. Okay. And then in the process, I realized where I wanted to go couldn't fit in 2 books. So I've done the outline for the third book too. So this will be a trilogy. The Last Child will get.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Wow.
This is Kona. Kona is our
Kona.
mascot. Kona is
the
our
mascot of this podcast. Yep.
Somebody just rang the doorbell. So she's like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's a pain in my. Steve, this has been amazing.
Thank you.
It really is. Like, you are so cool. I just can't even get over it. Oh, okay.
I don't have any idea what to say to that other than thank you.
Well, that's all you need to say because,
Yeah.
Would you please come back?
I don't know. Can you see? It's hard to see a phone on a computer, but that's my pup.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, is that a
Spaniel? Yeah,
Springer
it's a Springer.
Spaniel. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his or her name?
Emmy. Emme.
Okay.
Right.
But she
EMME.
also
Oh, I
answers.
like that.
Nice.
But she also answers to Cocoa Puff. So.
Oh,
Oh, that's so cute.
oh, that's so funny
That's so
because
adorable.
my little dog her name is Kona, and I call her Coco. So I'm gonna have to start calling her Cocoa Puff. That is so funny. Yeah, I'm a big dog person. We have 5. Shh, don't tell anybody. No. Would you come back someday?
Yeah, sure.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been a
I
while.
enjoy talking, and God, it doesn't feel to me like enough people read anymore. I wish more people would read.
Yeah.
And if we can
so
inspire
true.
one person to pick up a book, then fantastic. That'd be great.
Well,
Absolutely.
our producer will show you how to sign up for Daily Wisdom Words, and we'll get your books on there, and we'll get you
Great.
some followers and hopefully buyers and readers. Yeah.
So,
I mean, you got as soon as it hits Amazon, I like the small business thing. So I'm going to do the other one, the one that Neil wrote down for me. It goes,
yeah.
there it goes.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's
No, you really are.
It's still a little bit of a new world to me to be a writer, but it's a really cool world, and I'm glad I enjoy it. Yeah.
Neil is he's a journalist. He's an amazing author. And he's got a book in him somewhere. Okay. This is my life. The bug guy shows up in the middle of the podcast, and now my dogs are freaking out. So can you hear them? Can you hear?
Yeah, you can't be upset with a dog for doing its job.
No.
That's its job.
No.
That's its job. He's doing what he's supposed to do.
Right.
I just don't want it to bother you guys because, Kona, honey. Coco.
Yeah.
Okay. It worked.
So
anyway.
Yeah. Let's go over the links as we come to a wrap. It was Chop Shop, right?
Radio.
And then
Chop Shop Radio.
And are you on social media?
Yeah, I actually try to not be, but it's impossible when you're a personality. So I wish I couldn't be, but no, I am.
Okay.
At SR Black is the Twitter feed, and Steve Black 26 is the Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
So I'm out there. I actually post a lot of, when I'm backstage doing stuff or interviews with bands. I do a lot of that, and kind of a super amateur, but an amateur photographer. I took this picture of a falcon the other day. So.
Oh, wow.
I do
That's
stuff
powerful.
like that. I'll post, especially on Instagram.
How did you get that close?
It was a working falcon. They were keeping the other birds away from the Renaissance Festival. So
I love Renaissance fairs.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I grew up going to Renaissance fairs. They were the best. I haven't seen one in a while. Well, with COVID, maybe I'll have one in my backyard. I'm out here in California. It's still 90. It's still 90. Yeah. So, but we were talking earlier about how far science will go with, humans and stem cells and, making cells and stuff like that. I just read an article that if we don't clean up this planet, we're not going to be here past 2050, because of the hurricanes, the droughts, the, stuff like that. So people get on helping clean up this planet because,
Yeah, I think one of the biggest mistakes, and we can blame the media, but just everybody in general makes when they talk about that stuff is they talk about we're killing the planet. Now, the planet's going to be fine. We're not going to be here, but the planet will be fine.
Yeah, no,
That's true.
We're killing the planet. We're killing us.
Yeah.
Well, what happened is, we lost our ozone layer because of the spray things, and then people are like, why is melanoma so prominent now when we discovered sunscreen? And I said, it's not the sunscreen, it's the fact that we have a hole in our ozone layer. Well, that's started to close up, you know.
Oh yeah,
and
it's
so,
healing nicely.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
other issues at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, the
Yeah.
greenhouse gas is holding in the heat.
Mm-hmm. And still,
Right.
It doesn't
it's like,
take much. Two degrees
yeah,
is all it
yeah.
takes.
Yeah. There you go.
It's already raised what, at 1 degree already on the planet.
Yeah.
It's like gone up 1
Yeah.
degree, and we've already lost like a lot of, you know, little things that you don't even know the
Of course.
names
Mm.
of, the little tiny
Yep.
things that, you know, walk the planet. And you know, I would love to be able to travel through the planet. I mean, I believe we are stardust, and I believe that, you know, the universe is our home base, basically. And but I mean, wouldn't it be kind of cool to go in through the planet and just see, like, you know, the roots are our veins, you know, the I forgot what was it that were our lungs, and then our heart. You know, the
Right.
planet is, you know, we were
Yeah,
made.
planets are alive.
Yeah.
No question about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, well, Steve, I could talk to you
Wow.
all day.
This is,
You
yeah,
probably
we
wouldn't want to
could-
talk to me
mean-
all day, but
Well, it's the end of my
I'm-
day here. I'm just
Oh,
ready
are
to go
you?
home and
yeah. Oh, you're at the station?
I'm at one of my other jobs at the moment. I'm an audio engineer and a video technician on
This
site that I
man-
probably shouldn't mention.
This man is like, you are, I don't know, what's the word? Dude.
Amazing.
You are amazing.
Yeah.
You really are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was such a pleasure talking to you,
This
and
was-
I'm going to hold you to
This
that
was
come
such
back.
a blast. Yeah.
It
Sounds
really
great.
was. And we want to
Yeah.
hear some more stories about the road.
Yes.
Because I mean, I would go, if I had your life, I would be, Bono and me would be best friends, and you know, I'd be on those tour buses just talking to these guys and writing books and, you know, doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, so anyway, Steve, you have a great day.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad that you found love again, because, you know,
Yeah.
we need to heal personally, you know, that
I
for
tell
some
you what,
reason.
Gina might be the best person I've ever met in my life. She is
Aw.
so special.
Mhm.
I,
Yeah,
I don't even know what to say. She
that's
makes me
awesome.
she not only makes me
Yeah.
a better human being, she makes me want to be a better human being.
Oh God, Steve, you're
Wow.
killing me
That
here.
was beautiful.
Probably not a good adjective to
beautiful.
use, but you're something me here. You're making me tear up here. But yeah, so you have a really, really good day. And,
Okay, thank you
know,
again. I appreciate your time.
We'll catch you in the future.
We appreciate. Yeah.
Okay.
We appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Bye,
Thanks.
buddy.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, for listening today. And thank you, Steve, for joining us. Want an exclusive sneak peek at our future guests? Go to our website, dailywisdomwords.com, where you'll have full access to our podcast page, which is updated every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The link of the podcast page is posted in the description. On that page, not only will you see who the upcoming guest is, but you'll also be able to submit a question for that guest and any other feedback that you have for our podcast. We want to hear from you.
Again, we want to thank everyone for joining us today. It was such a pleasure talking to Steve. And if you're a writer and not a member of Daily Wisdom Words, join us for $10 a month. It's at dailywisdomwords.com. It's a lifetime membership. There are no dues. You can join our active writing prompts, take part in our Daily Wisdom Word blog, groove to a little music. Today was perfect for that. And build your own social media profile. Meet and interact with writers just like you.
Once again, that's dailywisdomwords.com. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all of the links of which are posted below. And don't forget to hit like on this video and subscribe to it so you never miss an episode. And if you want to show us a little extra love, we also have a link for donations in the description. So make sure to check that out as well. Thank you, everyone. Once again, thank you, Steve, once again, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.